Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome back to the Islam podcast. I know it's been a couple of weeks since we've been on, but yeah, we are back here with a week 7 preview. We'll also be talking about the last week. We just passed the halfway mark of our fall season. Really interesting. Some trades to talk about, as well as what we're looking forward to for the second half of the season. And yeah, I'm joined here by no stranger to the podcast, no stranger to the league, Mr. Commissioner himself, Habibi. How are you doing?
That's Alhamdulillah, wa alaikum salam. Yeah, it's been a while, and it's just surprising how it's like 6 games gone by already. We're already midway into the season, and a lot of stories, a lot of expectations and non-expectations. So
For sure.
looking forward to the conversation for sure.
Yep, for sure. So, walaikum salam, Hamza. Good to see you in the chat. Let's hope to get some insight. We have, I think you have a big game coming up this week. And maybe, Hamza, I believe you're playing Habibi this week. So, you know, maybe he can do some damage this week.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
I'd wish them luck, but I wouldn't mean it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, before we get started with just talking about some of the trades, we will highlight some of the trades because they did happen before week 6. So the first trade, it's a multiplayer trade. It's actually the first trade of the season
Mhm.
after the season had started. Um, and this trade is between Sabr and Yakin. So Sabr gets Tahir Maroof and Safwan Samrodia, and Yakin gets Muhammad Sulu Patel and Omar Khan. So this trade was in effect for week 6. And honestly, this looks like a pretty balanced trade for both teams. Yakin gets a solid D man that can also go forward in Sulu, and Omar Khan is also another depth forward that Yakin can get. And Sabr gets Tahir Maroof, who's an excellent defensive forward. Can play defense, can play center, can play winger. Really versatile. So definitely a big piece for Sabr. And Safwan Samroda, who has been putting up numbers. In the summertime, he was among one of the leading scorers as well. So he's hoping to get his groove back. But yeah, this trade, it honestly ended up working out. We'll talk about it a little bit more in week 6. But Habibi, what are your thoughts on kind of just the move that both teams made?
Well, from my perspective, there's always like two sides to every story when it comes to the trade, and obviously there's going to be a lot of guys saying, oh, this team got fleeced, that team got fleeced. But from my perspective, and I believe like from your vantage point as well, when two GMs are happy with a trade, that to me is the best trade ever. So you can look at this trade on paper, and you can look at two players, two really good players going on one team, and then not of equitable value, but at the end of the day, the GMs know what they're doing. They know what's missing on their teams, and they know what pieces they need to get their teams better. So, from my vantage point, I ignore the buzz noise in the back, and when I got two GMs that are satisfied with the trade, and you're right, it both panned out in the end. Seeing these four players playing out their first game, but we could talk more about it. But I think from my point of view, both GMs are happy, and that to me is a good recipe for a good trade.
For sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was one more waiver transaction
Hmm.
that happened in week 6. So unfortunately, Haya's first round pick, Yusuf Ngar, I believe he was the third or the fourth overall pick. He is dropping out, and yeah, Haya is bringing Wakar Khan in, and he actually
Yeah,
passed
actually,
waivers.
Yusuf was their first pick. He was their first pick.
Yeah. He was
Uh,
their first pick. I think it was third or fourth overall. Um,
Overall, correct. Yeah.
yeah, in the draft. So yeah, Wakar comes in. He actually cleared waivers. Nobody claimed him, which could have been seen as a surprise. I would think some guys, maybe Ihsan looking to make a change after some disappointing losses.
Yeah.
Iman, Iman had Ray. I know Ray's missing some time due to other sporting commitments. Um, and yeah, overall, I'm surprised Wakar made it through. But yeah, he came in for Haya, and is a great replacement for Team Haya. They're looking for that strong, defenseman. I mean, defensive center, but also that someone that brings out offensive scoring. So in
Yeah.
my eyes, it's a great move for Team Haya with the circumstances they were dealt.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like, Okar's no stranger to the league. We all know what Okar brings to the table. He could easily have passed for a GM pick, no problem, especially with the talent that we have. But I was surprised too. But that doesn't surprise me as well because I know the GM stock, so there's probably conversations that are probably had in the back end. But I was shocked. You're right in terms of like how quickly he passed. But a lot of teams could have used the versatility of Wakar, but at the end of the day, all teams will have teams that they ended up with. So
For sure. So yeah, we'll move into week 6 scores.
yeah,
Um,
what about
and
this game?
yeah, well, a lot happened this week. We have first game of the night. We have Haya beating Ikhlas 4-0. Haya with only 19 shots and Ikhlas with 33 shots. But Hamza Butt first star of the game gets the job done, making 33 saves and helping Haya move into a higher playoff seed. Unfortunately, Ikhlas, which is your team, Habibi,
Yeah,
still without a win this season. 0 wins, 2 ties, 4 losses.
and
So yeah,
well,
this is
ironically speaking, like it seems like the last player of the weeks for the last 3 weeks ended up being players that played against us. But
yeah,
there's no question about Hamza played a solid game. And again, talk in our locker room is we still feel we were the better team, and we still think we are the better team. But this game, I know looks, I know it's 4-0, but I don't think it. Obviously Hamza made a lot of good stops, which is the reason why they were, why he was nominated as Player of the Week. But um, we had our chances, like you said. We it definitely did show, but at the end of the day, with talent like Hamza and net blocking all those shots, it really made it a little bit more difficult for us than to get the job done.
for sure. And yeah, we can see here, Foster was able to get the third star despite a 0 points coming from here. So you can see that Ikhlas was still putting pressure on Haya, but unfortunately they faced some really good goaltending this week. And so kind of my next question is, now we're halfway through the season and you're still without a win. You've made one GM change with Asim Patel coming in. What do you think your GMs need to do, in order to kind of turn your season around and really start getting points? Because with 6 games left, the magic number is looking like it's going to be 8 to 10 points to make the playoffs. So, what do you think your GMs need to do to turn your season around?
Well, that's a very good question. I don't think it's panic time yet. I do believe that we do have a solid, good team. I think what we need to do, or what Ikhlas needs to do, is probably change up the lines a little bit. I think bringing in a guy like Asim Patel, he probably brings a different style to the game, and probably just matching up guys that will probably work well with his style might be beneficial. Obviously, with the loss of Mohamed Salah, that was obviously different, and obviously, Mo Salah plays differently with the guys that he's familiar with. But I think if we're going to capitalize on the full component of our team, maybe switching up the lines a little bit, maybe bringing up some defense up on top to kind of like help out Austin Patel a little bit. But I think definitely like a line change, a line format must be done just to kind of change it up a little bit, because obviously what's being done right now is not working. But I still have faith in this team. We got a great group of guys. I know that we definitely got the talent. Um, it's just probably just switching up the lines a little bit just to see what else could work.
For sure. So we have a question here. Hamza guy asking, when is the trade deadline? Maybe he's looking to get traded from Iman. Maybe he's sick of Ozzy's antics.
Yeah,
But yeah, the trade deadline is November 18th.
mhm,
One thing that we're doing different this season is the trade and the waiver deadline is all just one deadline. So anyone that needs to drop out and anyone that needs to get traded has to be by November 18th. After that, the rosters are locked besides GMs.
correct.
And yeah, we have Riaz Hussein chiming in over here. Wouldn't you like to know? So, I'm
Echoing the same sentiment as you were saying.
yes. So yeah, definitely there is some sentiment here. Maybe some players are wanting to change the scenery, especially after some disappointing losses with Team Iman. But Team Iman, Team Ikhlas, Team Sabr, even though they got their first win of the season this week, could still look to make some further trades. And I definitely think there's going to be at least 2 more trades before the deadline.
Yeah,
Because, yeah,
but even
even
for
the teams at the top. Yeah.
Team Claus, we're only 3 points behind a playoff spot
Hmm.
with 6 games remaining, so it's not panic mode yet. It's a tight race from from 1 to 8, but at the end of the day, it's just not panic mode, even for Iman as well.
For sure. So moving into the second game of the evening, Yakin versus Ihsan. Adam Panchba had 2 goals and an assist, probably in the running for player of the week, but Hamza Butt's performance stole the show. Yakin had 6 goals, Ihsan had 3, and yeah, Ihsan still with only 1 win on the season. But we're seeing some scoring from Hassan and Yakin back in the win column after that trade that they made. So clearly, the trade worked out in their favor, and yeah, they were able to get back into the win. So yeah, with this game, Yakin sits comfortably, not comfortably, but they're in a good position
They're okay.
going into
They're
the
good.
playoffs. And I think if they keep it up, they'll be fine, no problem. But with Isan, we're now one win, two ties, three losses, 6 games into the season. Could you see Dawood making a very rare trade that Dawood never makes trades in Islam? It's like a thing, but could Dawood be looking to shake something
Well,
up as he
well,
heads into
well,
the second half?
Well, you kind of said it, Abdullah. It's a very it's literally called a very rare trade. Dawood is no stranger to the league. He's been GMing for many years, and it's very rare that he actually does a trade. But again, looking at his lineup and who he has, like in terms of like his partners between Hamza and Bilal and his first pick, Altaf, and they got the talent. They definitely got the talent, and I think it's probably just the same thing maybe from his end. Maybe just change up the lineups a little bit to get
Hmm.
just get guys that complement each other a little bit more. But again, they're not out. But watching this specific game, Yakin did definitely look like they were the dominant team. I think they were kind of like all over Yakin, and they just never had really a good answer. Just to stop Yakin, they were just firing at all, from all cylinders, and Yakin definitely looked like they were the stronger team. But I think for Hassan, similar to Ikhlas, they just got to change up the lines a little bit, and I think there's still promise and hope for Team Hassan as well.
For sure. Third game of the evening, Takwa
What a
versus
game!
Rida. And yeah, this game was a crazy game. We have Takwa here with only one loss now, and Rida got dealt their first loss of the season. And so we really saw the two top teams in the league, standings wise, really battling out. Takwa was able to solve Muhammad Uzair Motala, scoring 7 goals. And Yusuf Mohammed comes back with a win. So yeah, definitely a good result for Team Takwa, a confidence booster for Yusuf Mohammed, but still 4 goals for Rida on 33 shots, and 7 goals for Takwa on 32 shots. So,
So
I think maybe the goalies were relying a little too much on their defense this week, because 11 goals scored. So Takwa, no stranger to scoring, a lot of these goals, because they also had that 8-7 game against Ikhlas a couple weeks ago.
and Tuckwa could score at will, and I think that's exactly what happened. I think at one point Erdo was actually winning this game, but with typical Tuckwa fashion, their star talent kind of arrived late, and once they kind of get gelling into the game, they kind of really show what Tuckwa can do. But
Hmm.
again, going back to what you're talking about in terms of like the saves and the shots on net, they're both pretty much equal. I think it was 33 or 34 shots on net that both goaltenders faced, but Tuckwa showed what they're really capable of doing. And that's really just kind of taking over a game when they can. But there was no slouch either, because like I said, they were actually leading at one point of the game. But Takwa is looking really dangerous at this point of the league.
Definitely. And yeah, moving on to the last game of the evening, Iman versus Sabr. Sabr picks up their first win of the season. Finally, after 3 ties, Sabr beats Iman 4-1, 37 shots compared to 23. And yeah, we have the first shot of the game, Hassanji Patel, 2 goals and an assist. Usama Bula, 1 goal and 2 assists. And Rehan Ghazi getting his first goal of the season. So shout out Rehan Ghazi.
Hmm.
Definitely a big help for Team Sabr. And I know, attendance issues has been an issue in the past, this season, but I think everyone except me was there.
Except
Uh,
you, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the
everyone except
attendance
me was
issue was
there.
you.
Yeah, so definitely, something that plays a part is attendance. And so yeah, Team Subber gets their first win. And yeah, we got scoring from all around, their second round pick, as well as one of their mid round picks, plus their GM, and,
But
and a
even
great,
like your goaltending too. Your
yeah, from
goaltending has
Deggy.
been
So
has been solid. Deggy has been really solid for you guys all season, and this game was no exception. He stopped 37 shots on net, from a talented team like Iman. Iman has got guys that can shoot and guys that can crash, and you're getting scoring from all of them, but you're definitely getting what your top pick was supposed to deliver, which was clutch games, and that was definitely a game that came out for him for sure.
for sure. So, well, we had the player of the week video for this week. It was Hamza Butt. He had a 33 save shutout against Team Ikhlas. He got absolutely peppered with shots, from
He
what
did.
I'm hearing, and yeah, he really stood on his head, and Haya was able to come out with the win. And so yeah, Haya has shocked some teams in the past couple of weeks. People who would call them underdogs or would give the game to someone else. That game against Suburb, big game. They scored, I think it was 4-1. And then the game last week. So definitely some big performances from Team Haya to really put them in a good spot going into the second half of the season. So we'll watch
Assalamu
Hamza
alaikum
Butt's video.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is Hamza Asif Butt, the goalie on the season. I firstly want to thank the refs for choosing me player of the week, and I also want to thank the organizers of the league for their hard work. Alhamdulillah, we had a really good game last Friday. I think the offense, the defense, myself, we all played our role very well. We managed a very strong momentum throughout the game, and in the last minute especially, we were able to hold it down. So the credit does go to my teammates as well, and we were able to secure the 4-0 win. Lastly, I want to thank the sponsors for this season, Hoopo. They focus on making micro investments in impoverished communities. So you can go ahead and check out their page, inshallah. And I look forward to seeing all you guys, inshallah, this Friday. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
So yeah, good game from Hamza, and some really good goaltending, which has been the story this season for a number of teams. So definitely good on them. So yeah, we'll talk now just about halfway through the season, where we stand standings wise, as well as what it kind of will look like for every team. Um, Here, I'll make it a little bigger. But yeah, as you can see, we have Team Rida in place still after getting that loss. Team Rida with 4 wins, 1 loss, and a tie, with 9 points. And Team Takwa in second place with 8 points. So just 1 point behind them. I'm sure they're looking to come and get that number one seed again. But yeah, Takwa 3 wins, 1 loss, 2 ties, and with a only +2 goal difference compared to a +6 goal difference from Rida. So definitely something to look at. Um, Team Yakin in third place after that win, coming off of a loss. They are tied with Team Takwa with 8 points, and then the bottom four teams are, or the bottom five teams are all really within 3 to 4 points of each other. We have Haya and Iman tied at 6 points. And Team Saber moving into a playoff spot despite being at the bottom. They do move into a playoff spot with that win. They have a -3 goal difference though. And yeah, Ehsan and Nikhlas currently, if the season ended today, would not make the playoffs, but still plenty of hockey left to play. They are 4 points and 2 points, and currently out of playoff spots. So yeah, this is where we kind of stand. And as the season goes on, I'm sure this picture will change. It could be completely flipped. We've seen teams that start hot really fall off after the midseason. Another team, Iman, Sabr, Ehsan, Ikhlas, could make a trade that really propels their season the other way. So, yeah, I think we still have a lot of hockey left to play. And Habibi, what do you think is like the biggest surprise that we're seeing this season?
I'm just going to be selfish and just say my team. I don't think that Ikhlas is a last place team by any means. I think the surprise in this thing is just seeing the talent that Ikhlas has, and just looking at where they are in the standings. It's definitely a surprise. We keep saying in the locker room, we still, despite the outcomes of all the games that we've played, we still feel that we're a better team. So definitely surprise to me is definitely like the performance of Ikhlas and where they are in the standings. There's no surprise in terms of the top. Ikhlas and sorry, Taqwa and Rada look pretty strong on paper, but we've seen this all with the many years that we've been doing this. You have teams that probably look on a paper, but then when you put them into practice, they might not pan out. And I think Team Akhlas is definitely one of those teams that definitely look good on paper, but the results in terms of like where they are in the standings right now is not where it should be. And I think changes need to be made in terms of like shuffling the lines a little bit. But I still have faith in what Ikhlas can do. But that's pretty much like my answer. I think the surprise for me from what I'm seeing is the underperformance of Ikhlas and where they are right now.
For sure. So we have RF here using your favorite quote.
And I was just gonna say that, but Arv just said it too, and I will still stick firmly to that. You know, I we do trust the process, and I do have confidence in the leadership that we have between you know, Unia and you know, like Salah, you know, so not Salah because Salah's out there, but Asim Patel and Zaire. I do have confidence in in their leadership in terms of like doing what they need to do, and unfortunately, like our you know, attendance has not been an issue for us actually. Attendance is one of those things where we do have pretty much like 90% of our guys showing up every single game. I think maybe just kind of like, you know, shuffling the personalities a little bit in terms of like getting the best out of not necessarily like the third line where I sit, but I think the top two lines just kind of getting you know, better chemistry with them. That should be there. But I do trust the process, and I do think that the second half of the season, you're definitely going to see a stronger class come out.
For sure. So yeah, looking at this team, I think a big surprise also is Shahid Voda, who was one of their, I think it was their fourth round pick or fifth round pick, but
Mhm.
he has 11 points in 6 games.
He's been
Uh,
solid. He's been
yeah, he's
solid.
he's been really good, and
Quiet guy, but he's you know, he's definitely been you know, leading the forefront. But again, it's it- we're a really good team on paper, and despite the fact that we're a good team on paper, there are guys that have played with each other for a very long time. It's just a matter of just kind of shifting up a little bit.
for sure. Yeah, we'll look at the stats on the season, and just halfway through the season, this is what the scoring leaders look like. Yusuf Siddiqui, 18 points in 6 games. This is
And
ridiculous.
most of that was against us. So I mean,
Yeah, it
like,
was. It was. He's averaging 3 points a game, 12 goals, in 6 games. So
solid player.
he could well be on pace to, or he is on pace now to break the Islam scoring record. But this is an insane stat from this kid, and he's really putting Team Rida on his back, and getting help from his brother Asif Bika is up here with 12 points.
Yeah.
Etisham Qureshi, who was a really pretty good pickup for them in a low round. 11 points on the season. Definitely a big pickup for Rida, and their team is just clicking. Like, they are a well-oiled machine, because they like until Takwa this week, it looked like nobody was going to stop them.
Yeah, and they're built like they're a big all-rounded team, and they got it from all three lines. And you can't discount. You're right. The guys that are picked in the middle ranges, like Ibtisham. Surprisingly, Asif Bika is not on the top line, but he's on that second line. So when you got the comfort and the luxury of having a great guy like Asif on that second line, I mean, that just goes to show how strong and how deep Team Merida is. So there's no surprise in terms of like where Merida stands in the standings now, and it really is because of the personnel that they got on that team. They drafted very well, actually.
For sure. And yeah, moving down all of the bigger players, really pulling their weight this season, and putting up points for their teams. And it's something that it's great to see, and really just whatever happens moving forward, we know it's going to be an insane kind of end to the season.
Yeah,
So now we'll move on to kind of just talking about the games for tomorrow. And we have some really good interesting games. We have Ihsan versus Sabr at 8 o'clock. Sabr is on a 1 game winning streak. They just got their first one last week. They're looking to get into the win column, and start gaining ground on the teams that are above them. Ihsan, on the other hand, is 1 point behind Sabr, and really want to jump back into that spot, which they will do if they beat Sabr. Um,
an
so
important game.
this, yeah, it's a very important game, because going down the line, if teams are tied on points, that tiebreaker is really going to be the thing that helps the team go through. So yeah, I think for both teams, I'm on Sabr, so I'm gonna just say, one thing we need to do is it is an 8 o'clock game. We need to come out early and come out hungry for a win, and really take advantage of Ihsan's lack of scoring the last couple of weeks, and punish them for that. So really, pummel Mufti with shots, and just get Ihsan out uncomfortable as early as possible.
I agree with you in terms of like the strategy for Summit, but in terms of like the strategy for SN, I mean, there's no question in terms of like the talent that you guys have, or the talent that Subbut has in terms of the goaltending. So the one thing that Hassan needs to do is obviously capitalize on that strength, which is your strength, which is to really just kind of like really challenge Degi from early, and just to kind of make sure that they kind of make it difficult. If you got to route, kind of like ruffle a little feathers here and there, just kind of do what they need to do to kind of like get him off his game, because a strong Degi is a strong Subber. So just kind of like just get at him early and go from there. But I do agree with you from a Subber point of view. If you get at Hassan early, especially again, it's all goaltenders, whether it's Mufti or Degi. But with Mufti, if you get him, if you get him at him early, at an early game, it might work out to your advantage. But I think the same application goes, or the same game strategy goes to, for Hassan, for you guys as well.
For sure.
But
So
it's an
yeah,
important game because you're right. In terms of like where those two teams stand in the standings, it's definitely a crucial game. And of course, with you guys riding on momentum from the last game, you guys are definitely on the high, obviously. So if Hassan can just tame you guys a little bit, then I think Hassan, it's an important game for both you guys. So it's really who wants it more.
definitely. Second game of the evening, we have Takwa versus Haya. These are, Haya is on a roll recently. Takwa, a high scoring machine. This could very well be like, a semifinal or a final matchup. This will be an interesting game. We'll see how, coming off of a player of the week performance, Hamza Butt, reacts to the intense pressure that, Adam Hafiji, Bully Yahya, and the rest of that Takwa team will put on him.
But the
Because
guys like Haya, you can't turn them down either, because
yes, for
Wakar
sure.
also, guys like Wakar also rise to that challenge as well. And Maz wasn't really there at the last game last week when he was there, so we know what Maz and Wakar can bring to that table. And of course, with the goaltending, I think the goaltending kind of leans in favor to Haya maybe in this game a little bit. So if Haya can capitalize on the goaltending in terms of like doing what they need to do to get on the Tuckwa goalie early, and we all know Tuckwa, they always like to start games late. So if Hayek can get there exactly at 9, maybe get a couple of goals, by 9:03, because we know how they are, then maybe that can work out as well. But usually with
Definitely.
Tuckwa is a very strong team. I cannot imagine like those. I mean, just the top 5, like in terms of just their 3 GMs and their top 2. This is a real juggernaut. This is a really tough challenge, but I know the guys and high blue collar guys, older guys, veteran guys, Hamoudi, Wakar, uh, they got, like even like Moeen, like they got guys that can step up when they need to step up. And I definitely think that you'll see the best at Haya from this game for sure.
Definitely. And we have Arif here still waiting to see Haya with a full squad. So, it'll be interesting to see what kind of happens with Haya. Next game, we have Iman versus Ikhlas. This could be the game that, sends one team to turn the season around. And, Ikhlas will be looking to capitalize on Iman. I know Iman was very disappointed with the result last week against a winless Subber. And there were some rumblings on the bench, and within the Iman team. So maybe Ikhlas can use that to their advantage, and look to get under the skin early. Because Ikhlas is a very physical team, very high IQ team, but it just hasn't been working out. And maybe they need to face an opponent like Iman that might be falling apart from within, and looking to cause damage early, because one of these teams, if the team that comes out of this could very well look to turn their season around. Iman's still on 6 points though, so Iman's still not out of a playoff spot, but they do have a hard run of games coming in for the rest of the season. The next couple of games are pretty difficult, and they'll be looking to kind of to take the win there.
Yeah, I can't add anything more. I think you kind of really summed it up well. But in terms of like aside from the inner rumblings with Iman, I think the both teams on paper are really even in terms of like what they have. But I probably give a slight advantage over to Akhlas because they're guys that have definitely played with each other a lot more. But who's to show? I mean, I think Ikhlas, um, we'll definitely see a different Colossus team this week for sure.
Definitely. And yeah, the last game of the evening, it's Rida versus Yakin, first versus third. This is gonna
It's
be
gonna be a great game too.
a great game. Back to back great games. Can Rida continue to be that high scoring team? Will Yusuf Siddiqui put up 10 points again, or
Yakin could score too.
yeah,
Yakin's got the talent and the speed. I'm always a fan of MP, and I know MP when he's at MP status, he can definitely kick it up a notch and drop a couple on his own too. But this is going to be a high scoring, fast game. I could just tell you that from now.
for
This is
sure.
going
We
to be
have
an exciting
RF
game to
here
watch.
saying if Dawood misses the playoffs in back to back seasons, he's gonna have to drop a bunch of 8-year contracted players. Yeah, that is very true. He did miss the playoffs in the summer season, and
Yeah, he did.
uh, yeah, he could have to drop players like Zahid Panchba, who he drafts every year, Osama Rao every year. Um, yeah,
And
it'll be
and
interesting to
SN
see
SN80 and
for sure. And yeah, so like before we end it, we just wanna talk about maybe one thing. Actually, before we do that, next tomorrow we're actually looking for a scorekeeper. So if you or anyone is interested in being a scorekeeper, it is a paid position, and we'll need you there for all 4 games, so 8 o'clock till midnight. Yeah, please message us on Instagram or WhatsApp, or share this to anyone you know. The sooner we get it sorted out, the better. And yeah, inshallah, we get a scorekeeper for tomorrow. But if you guys are interested, definitely let us know for that. And yeah, I think other than that, what are kind of some what's one change that these bottom 4 teams need to make in order to turn their season around?
well, I mean, it's Arif said it. It's just trust the process. I think the GMs have been doing this for quite some time. I think they have played enough hockey to know what they need to do. I think just kind of shifting up the lines a little bit, and maybe to Arif's point too, like maybe personnel is an issue too, where you got attendance issues, where you got guys consistently showing up or guys not consistently showing up. So I think for the next half of the season, if GMs can kind of motivate their guys to be a little bit more consistent, like in terms of like just finding that chemistry that can kind of bring them up to where they need to be and get the best out of them. I think that's one thing that they need to do is just kind of find a motivator to kind of get the guys out there. But at the same time, it's like there are guys on each team that each team rely on, so it's really getting the best out of those guys. Not necessarily like and even just mid-range guys like the guys that are drafted in the middle rounds too. I mean, those guys are sleepers, and if you can get the best out of those guys, it could definitely make a shift in terms of the standing. So I think it's just capitalizing on all your players and all at the same time getting the best out of your best players at the same time, and of course consistency in attendance in terms of getting guys out. I think hopefully if GMs specifically, the GMs or teams on on the latter part, if they can just kind of do that, for the next 6 games, I think it'll be a really tough race in terms of like that last 2 playoff spots for sure.
For sure. I think, I'll start with Team Iman. Josefa Mandra is no stranger to making big trades. I think he should, if he loses this week to Ikhlas, I think he needs to shake it up quite a bit. Maybe, look
He
to
will.
bring in
There's
three
no
to
question.
four new
Yep.
players. And I think guys that could be used as trade bait, Safedine Sheikh, who's been a really, really solid center, but hasn't been able to produce offensively. Hamza Gaya, who had a great summer season, unfortunately only has, a point this season. Faraz Alvi, Kizar Ahmed, which is a really big surprise, still pointless this season. Um, and even using one of their top guys like Rian Mahmoud in a trade to bring back guys of greater value. Asim Sheikh, we know he did great for Huzli in the summer. Hassan Mohammed, like using guys that are putting up points, but just to bring in other guys, and I think very easily a trade between Iman and Ikhlas could be made. Iman in Sabr and Iman in Ihsan or Haya. So yeah, definitely look to make some moves and splash it up a bit. um moving to Team Subber, I think we've already made a trade, but myself, I'm not scoring, and I only have 3 games under my belt this season. So maybe if my GMs are listening, I wouldn't like to get traded, but if you need to trade me, um, if you're gonna trade me, at least
This
send
is
me
this
up.
is the wrong forum for that kind of talk.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, there are some changes. I think we did win last week, and so maybe we'll see how it goes this week, and yeah, we'll take it from there. Ihsan, um, these guys are out of a playoff spot right now,
Yeah,
and
if there's any team that needs to do anything, it would be these guys. But Dawood, man, Dawood is
yeah,
kind of like he'll ride him out till death if he has to,
for
right?
sure.
So
So yeah, guys like Amar Wasif, who's putting up great, he's putting up 5.6 game, really good numbers, could be used to maybe get back, a guy that's drafted in the higher round but hasn't produced as much. Possibly like Riyan Mahmoud on Iman, a trade like that, or using Farouk Sani, Zahid Panchpaya, who's a grinder forward. It doesn't show up on the stats, but his presence is definitely felt. And some guys that they got pretty late in the draft, Umar Mahmoud, Abdulaziz Khan, like these are all guys that could be used as leverage in a trade, to maybe shake things up for Dawood, and maybe challenge a little bit more instead of just trying to go for that last playoff spot.
you actually raise a good point, Abdullah. There's a lot of guys on each team that were drafted fairly high that haven't really fit well in the systems that they're in right now. So they might actually blossom in other teams, because obviously the GMs know the capability of those type of players. But you're right, for those players that are drafted high that are not producing on their current teams, there could be an opportunity for them to obviously do better in other teams. So I see your point in that for sure.
For sure. Yeah, we have Ikhlas here who they have scoring from their Salman Khalid 6 points, turning back the clock. Zahir Ghazi, the GM, 7 points. Isma Mandra, who they got on waivers, 6 points. Like they're definitely getting scoring. But maybe
We're
maybe it's
getting scored
because
on too.
they're getting scored on, and maybe it's this could be a shock trading one of their boys away. Like I know they are a
Yeah.
family team, and it is like a Malton team, but maybe that's what you need to do in order to get some scoring. We have guys like Salih Asim, who has kind of struggled a little bit defensively. He's my boy, so I can say that. Don't worry,
Yeah,
guys.
but he's injured. He's a
I'm
little
sorry.
bit
Yeah,
injured.
he is injured. He is injured. Guys, Ismail Malik, another one of my friends. He's 1 point in 5 games, could be looking to get a change of scenery. And even up there, maybe using Ismail Manja, or Abdullah K. Patel, as trade bait to kind of get teams, to come biting, because
Yeah.
they could have
Well,
all the scoring, but if they're not winning games, it's not really something that it's more individual stats. It's not going to really help them, propel and go toward the playoffs. So, yeah, just those are just some early thoughts. I'm sure teams are already talking behind the scenes. But yeah, if there are any trades, we'll definitely be sending them in the chat and talking about them in the next podcast as well. Yeah, I think one final note: there is a Jays game tomorrow. Inshallah, we are kind of working or thinking of a way to maybe possibly stream it. If not, definitely bring your phones or your iPads to the rink, and well, I'm sure we'll have a bunch of different watch parties along the side. And yeah, go Jays, go! Any
yeah.
last words from Habibi?
No, it's just I'm looking forward to the second half of the season. So great insights in terms of like how the first 6 games went. But yeah, the second half, anything could happen. Again, we've seen how the standings are right now. It's pretty tight, like in terms of like the bottom. I think the top teams are pretty much they're okay, but anything could happen. We've seen teams go through like 3 game losing streaks, and anything could happen. But during the first 6, kind of surprised on like I said, like in terms of like the performance of Team Khalas, but there's still another 6 games left, and it's still a tight race. So I'm looking forward to every single week. And like I said, well, like you said too as well, then this week right now, like in terms of those 2 games you mentioned between Iman and Khalas, and the other one between you guys and Hassan. Definitely, important games for those 4 teams, because those are the 4 teams that are fighting for the last playoff spots. But it's been a great 6. Again, it's the home stretch right now, and we'll see what happens. It's a tight race, so anything can happen right now.
For sure. And yeah, we have Safan here saying we need a radio on the bench. I'm sure guys will be bringing their phones to stream the game on the bench anyways. But yeah, definitely we're trying to figure out a way to get something to happen.
Inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. Other than that, we'll see you guys all tomorrow. And yeah, once again, if you guys do know someone that's interested in being a scorekeeper, please let us know. It is a paid position, and yeah, we'll look to have some fun tomorrow. And yeah, with that, we'll call the stream to the end, and yeah, we'll finish up here. So yeah, assalamu alaikum guys, jazakallah for tuning in.